So now we can come in here and steal all the Brotherhood stuff. And that's pretty cool. Well, we can just loot the crap out of the police station. There's a comic book here, but it doesn't show up until later in the game. That's really annoying to me. Because for me, collecting comic books is the game.
You're a comic book nerd.
I love collecting comic books in this game. It gives you a reason to really go to the far reaches of the world and climb down in the dungeons where there's just no reason to like knock over this giant base. Like there's not a quest, like this big gunner's outpost in the middle of the wilderness. It's this like retrofitted prison, I think, that's filled to the brim with gunners. There's no reason to knock it over except you want to go in and shoot a bunch of dudes and get a bunch of XP. So, but if I say, okay, my quest is to get the comic books, then alright, I need to get the comic book that's in there. And now I have a reason to be going in here and killing all these people. So did you beat the game, Chris?
No, I should. I'm close. I know I'm close. I've gotten all the factions. I've made enemies with a few, friends with some. I think I just need to, do a couple more quests.
I've only done the Institute ending, and I meant to do all the endings before we did this series. And I really, really need to get to that, but it is really hard to do because the main story, once it gets rolling, gets dumber, and you spend more and more time with people that make less and less sense.
See, that's why I could never go back to the game. Like, it's at a certain point, I realized there's just nothing there but the killing, and I felt like I had had enough. And it was fun. It was fun open world exploration, but I thought I'd seen every variation on ruined desks and office buildings and military factories, and I fought pretty much every kind of enemy in the game, from Deathclaws to ghouls.
They added some windows that you can kind of see out of in this game sometimes when you're inside, and it looks really, really weird. There's another building where it's like it looks like they forgot to tint the glass or something, because you can just like straight up see outside and you can see the really low detail outdoor models. It's the comic book store, actually.
Dynamic lighting. But yeah, that's why I haven't finished the game. Is it's like I don't feel like I would not gain anything by having closure to a story I already don't care about.
Yeah, it really is the worst content in the game, is especially the end of the various stories. They're sort of passable and tolerable at the beginning, but then as they get to the end, they make less and less sense, and the writer just sort of like railroads you harder and harder.
Well,
and you're just sort of obliged to do things that you have no reason to do.
I feel like they looked at, and I'm trying not to do any spoilers here, but I feel like they looked at New Vegas and saw that everyone really loved making a choice, and so they just sort of replicated the idea of pick a faction without really having anything that has any meaning behind it. Like, the interesting thing in New Vegas was you were picking like who was going to lead the city, and or who got Hoover Dam, and that had lasting impacts on the world. Whose ideology is going to own the power and own the city, and that's a tough call. Here it's basically like pick who you want to win and kill everyone else, and it's just sort of like
None of them have a good reason to be none of them have anything to fight over. Like, literally, they're like, the Brotherhood is like, we can't allow the Institute to continue, they're too dangerous. And the Institute's like, the Brotherhood will never rest until we're all destroyed. And it's like, you're fighting because you're fighting. This is a self-sustain, which it would be nice if that was part of the theme of the game, is that it was this bleak, well, war is inevitable, mankind is doomed to destroy itself, and that was like a theme. That would be okay, but it's not. It's just a plot that runs on circular logic.
Yeah, it's like, it felt like the only faction that really had a reason to be fighting. Well, I guess you could argue that the Minutemen could have a reason to be fighting the Institute and the others, just because they want to like have control. Like, they want to basically give the settlers and the random villagers control of the Commonwealth. But it felt like the only faction that really had a reason to be fighting was the railroad. It wasn't a very good reason to be fighting, but it was a reason.
Right, they have a goal.
Back to Happy Funland here.
They have a goal, and they have somebody trying to oppose them. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's like the first half of the game. Wow, why is that so low res?
Yeah, what the hell happened?
It feels like the first third of the game, maybe even 2/3, depending on how much time you spend screwing around, is motivated very purely by a personal story. You know, the whole Sean thing, and then that gets resolved about halfway through the game, and suddenly now the game is not about a personal story, but it's about the whole of the wasteland and the whole of the not the universe, but the Boston. And the problem is both are handled terribly. It just goes from a very bad personal story that's completely terrible to thinking that you can care about the bigger universe that they never invest in the world building for, or having it make any sense. So.
But again, that feels like they're copying New Vegas without understanding what made it work. New Vegas was like, you got shot in the head, you got to settle up with Benny, and then once you do, you become dragged into the fight over the dam. And this thing, it's like, this thing might even have a better reason for you to deal with the Institute. Since I don't care, we can spoil this. You know, Sean is at the Institute, and you get to go meet him. So that gives you a reason to go and confront them. So this game could arguably be even better as far as why would I continue to deal with, like, New Vegas, you could argue that once you kill Benny, there's not a lot of reason for you to hang around and settle things at the Hoover Dam, except that Mr. House asks you to, and he gives you a very small number of caps to do it. But the ongoing story about Sean sort of gives you a reason to deal with the Institute. It's just that the Institute is...
Of course this is an armor that I can't wear armor over.
Oh, because it looks so good. Yeah, the usefulness of clothing is inversely proportional to how good it looks. Better it looks, the more useless
Warcraft
it is.
problem.
Yep.
So I never could figure out, and I'm sure there's an actual logical explanation, I'm just dumb. I could never figure out how the fatigues versus outfits versus uniforms thing worked.
Yeah. Like, some things are obvious. Harness is obviously a harness to put armor on. Okay, that makes sense. But then other things, it's like, why can I wear armor over this but not this?
Well, and then there's some things you can wear over other things, and then the other things are just the big outfits that are sort of full body, right? Like,
right.
The radiation suit.
Oh, yeah. Radiation suits, like, definitely full body, like...
Yeah, it seems to be entirely based on, hey, we can't put the armor items over this without causing clipping, so you can't put armor over it.
Yeah, that's it. And that, like, screws up all kinds of balance, because more interesting clothing will look more interesting and thereby end up with more clipping problems. And one of the first mods I got was one that, like, lets you put anything on over any clothes, like, and it causes all kinds of clipping, and you basically don't care.
Yeah, I mean, like, you think, like, oh, cool, I can wear armor over my suit, and then it didn't, and then it looks really weird.
And then you get another mod that lets you make your armor invisible, and that's what I always get. And so that way I can run around in a trench coat, if I want, or I can wear a tuxedo, but I'm actually wearing, you know, combat armor that you just can't see.
Yeah, that's cool. I thought the armor in this game looked like the wearable armor looked pretty cool.
I can rest easy knowing that Wolfgang is rotten in hell.
You just walk up to her and go, hi.
I just like that she still loves that Wolfgang's dead. She will always be appreciative of Wolfgang being dead, even though it was just like one fight from, you know, the beginning of the game.
Even the Minuteman outfit would be pretty cool to wear. I mean, we make fun of the Minutemen, but that's kind of a cool outfit if it wasn't being worn by the Minutemen. I can't believe you haven't sold your wedding rings yet.
What? Why would I do that, Shamus? I gotta remember that,
you gotta remember, what's her name?
My, shit.
Edna, Edith, Julia. Susan?
Bob.
Rebecca? I don't
That
know.
was it.
Sean?
Your wife is named Sean. What the? It's raining body parts. Oh God. Dog meat. Found something. What'd you find? What'd you find, buddy?
Found a dead ghoul.
You found that. Okay, cool.
Oh, I hate the pot paladin dance.
You really? Everybody hates
Pot paladin
dance.
Dance.
Everybody
I
hates
couldn't
paladin
Dance.
Paladin.
Why did you walk over to that wall?
I think he is exactly what he needs to be, in that he's
Follow me.
kind
He's
of a
Buzz
stick up
Lightyear.
his butt
Like
dick.
What?
I
What?
I love his getting out his helmet animation. I love that.
I didn't know that there was one.
Yeah, it's great.
I've
I
never
love
seen
it.
that one before.
I like it. It's slightly
Okay, I
comical.
love how the doors break when an NPC walks through them. So now I'm stuck here.
Yeah.
There we go.
It just takes a second. I don't know why that is.
I know.
Loading
he-
screen.
He has dialogue this entire walk. Like, you're gonna walk to ArcJet Systems. He talks to you on the way. He characterizes the Brotherhood. He characterizes himself. He does a
It's one of the better quests in the game.
Yeah, he does a tiny little bit of world building in as far as like what's going on around you. It's where the game. If we just had more of this, just way more of this. He even fills in your
Unfortunately-
goals. He has a goal. He's working towards it. They need the deep range transmitter. This is a setup for later in the story. You get this transmitter, and they call the Brotherhood of Steel, and then the Brotherhood of Steel spectacularly shows up.
In their flying Star Destroyer.
Oh, for the last time, it's a rigid airship.
It does have the video game NPC problem of I run faster than him, but walk slower than him.
Yes.
So it's our job to investigate.
Then again, it's
Also, I
not
think
an
there's some
escort
mines
quest.
up ahead.
Yeah, nothing. You don't have to worry about his health. You just have to worry about not pissing him off.
Crazy?
Got a couple of scripted encounters. I hate this because this fight's over before you get here, which is frustrating.
Yeah, they
looks
kill
like-
everything in one hit.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I want to save these people, but you can loot a lot off the Brahmin because it's like got an inventory, a trader's worth of inventory on it.
Anushanka!
Oh no, don't put on the Ushanka.
This time of communism.
Oh, so now we're playing Last Light.
It's like an
Artiole.
army of Shaka, though.
Artiole.
Like, that's not.
Shortly after they arrived, we lost contact with them.
It's not the big.
Yeah, this
furry
isn't
kind.
like a proper furry Ushanka. That's kind of sad.
This is more a Canadian
Been a target
Ushanka.
from the moment we arrived. But despite our setbacks, I don't intend to give up and head home.
Sorry, what were you saying, Dance?
We're totally listening. I'm just gonna be over here looting these boxes, carefully listening to every word that you're saying about whatever you're talking about. Now Wild Dog's up ahead.
Why is there a Deathclaw hand in this suitcase?
Because you don't want to leave it lying around. If I had a Deathclaw hand, I'd put it in the suitcase.
Alright. We are
Have
now
you ever heard
properly
of have
kitted out
Deathclaw
for
hand
this.
will travel?
What are you doing, Joshua?
That's cool. It's my new battle armor. Look at all the stats
What's
it
the,
has. Like
Yeah, the
charisma
stats
2.
of nothing. Charisma of 2. You know, I gotta say, this is not doing it for me. I don't think your charisma has gone up as a result of wearing this dress.
What?
Here's
Are you
the wild
sure?
dogs.
Why wouldn't it?
Okay, try and charge
I like
your
how I can
It's a
dog.
still
nice
wear
dress.
the arms. I can still wear the champion left arm I have. So I've still got some armor. Intruder alert. Those are not intruders.
Oh, and those aren't dogs. Wow, you're at such a low level, it spawned bloat flies instead of feral dogs. Wow. I usually don't get here until I'm level 10.
No, wait,
but
here are the
I
dogs.
Clean out all the... Oh, here they are. I usually clean out all the areas to the north, and there's a lot, and obviously we're not going to, like, do 20 dungeons before... Oh, you even have high heels!
Look at my legs!
I know, that's
I
what I'm
shaved
doing.
my legs
I'm
for
telling you,
this.
man. I'm totally looking at those legs.
What? Well, it's good to know VATS doesn't look any better. I'd be disappointed if they fixed that.
Can you imagine what Paladin Dance must think of the guy who strips the dog carcasses clean before the guy in the dress in Ushanka who
Shoves
strips
them
dog
into his evening dress,
sequin
into
dress.
all the pockets.
There shouldn't be any exterior security, so we'll head in through the front.
Oh, the Paladin Dance also does a little bit of world building with regard to the Brotherhood of Steel. Like, you get a feel for how they work. Like, he said, wow, there's a lot of somewhere in this thing, I don't know if he'll say it during this run, but sometimes if you go into a certain room, he'll be like, there's a lot of technology in here.
Paladin Dance.
I'm going to tag this place for sweep and clear later on. And you understand, oh, they send out scouts. The scouts look for technology. If they find anything, then they'll send in a team to, like, pick the place clean later. And you get this feel that this is how they operate. They travel around looking for old world tech. And that,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. That's pretty cool.
So this is the first part where the Institute breaks for you, like on a psychological level, which is weird because you don't even know about the Institute yet, usually, by the time you do this quest. I mean, like, hey, they sent a bunch of random synths here that go crazy and kill people, and you finally get to the Institute, and you really don't even get the option to ask the question, hey, why do you do this? But the best answer that you can piece together is basically,
Why do you send
felt
kill
like
squads into the
doing it,
Commonwealth
I
to murder
guess.
everybody that passes by? Why do you do that, Institute leader? And you can't ask that question, even though that's the most important question you have to ask, is why are you terrorizing the Commonwealth? They have nothing you need. There's nothing to gain. Leave those people alone. It is a massive investment of resources for you to continue terrorizing them, and it gains you nothing.
The last few decades littering the Commonwealth with their technological nightmares.
Synth. Isn't that the same as robot?
I love how it turns out that Reginald Cuthbert has fantastic skin, except on his face.
It's unacceptable.
Also, the abomination angle never worked for me. Like, that's another religious, like, they're an abomination.
Yeah.
Well, what's an abomination? Wouldn't you, as a
The
lover
Brotherhood
of
of Steel always had like a
appreciate-
sort of religious cultish bent to it, but it was never explicit about it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we worship technology or something.
I'm okay with them finding synths as an abomination. They just need to give a reason. They need to articulate the thinking behind that. Like, oh, technology should serve us, it should not be us. Something like that. Some kind of viewpoint. But no, abomination, we must wipe out, destroy. And it's just so shallow. It's like the writer went right up to the edge where they nearly had a good idea and then backed away. And that's like the story of this whole game, is like almost doing the right thing, and then lol, no, the conversation ends before anything interesting gets said.
As we progress, I'm wondering whether we're going to come to the conclusion that Fallout 3 was better or not, in terms of, like, at least Fallout 3 was so terrible it was openly terrible, whereas this feels like there's a really good idea, there's several good ideas buried in here, and every one of them are, like, masterfully screwed up. Like, it takes effort to get it this wrong.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, Fallout 3 had you and your nemesis, Colonel Autumn, both had the exact same goal, and the story didn't notice. Well, both of you want to turn on the purifier, and there's no reason for you to fight each other. And it's like, he has no reason to want to turn it on, but he does, and it's like, why are we doing this? Why is any of this happening?
Select... Oh, I don't have AP.
And so that story is kind of irredeemable and fundamentally broken in conception, where this feels like an idea that could have been made to work.
I don't understand why we died in our great armor that we totally have.
Wow.
It was corporations like
Oh, yeah, maybe you should put on some real armor. I'm not shaming you for your life choices, Reginald. I respect whatever you identify as, I totally respect it. I have absolutely no ill will, but put on some damn armor.